everybody. Tom Kranz here. Welcome back to the Independent Author Podcast. I appreciate you subscribing and I appreciate you downloading my episodes. Today, my guest is Brian Horton. Brian and I go back a few years when Brian lived kind of full-time here in my hometown of Fanwood. We met, I guess, because we had common backgrounds as veterans of the news business. But Brian, for a little while, took over the job I used to have here doing public information, which was taking photographs of local town council meetings and captioning them and kind of being the photographic record keeper of events here in Fanwood. He since then sold his house in Fanwood and moved down to the shore, the Jersey Shore. And of course, we're all jealous of that. And this is by a long explanation by way of me saying that he has published a book of his photographs called Beaches, Bays, and Backroads. Brian is a career photographer. I think he's probably spent much of his life behind a camera. Brian, welcome.
Thank you, Tom, for inviting me.
Sure. What's the weather at the shore like today? Or do I want to know?
Actually, it's kind of a throwaway day, kind of overcast, but we're supposed to have sun the rest of the week. So you put up with days like this to get the days like tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. So tell us a little bit about your origins. So you spent most of your life, well, I guess your career as a photographer for the Associated Press. Tell us a little bit about what that entailed.
Well, I actually grew up in a journalism household. My dad was a bureau chief for the Indianapolis Star when I was a kid. And so I watched him make pictures to go with his stories. And went through college at Indiana University and then went to work for the AP in Chicago in 1971 and started on the photo desk and then transitioned to being a photographer in Philadelphia, Cincinnati, Columbus, and then moved to New York in the early 80s to join the management team there. So had a tremendous career. I was very lucky. I did 12 Olympics and 24 World Series and 24 Super Bowls and news events of all sizes and got to travel to about 36 countries around the world.
Wow! So you really did see the world
quite
in the
a
years
ride.
you worked for them, right?
Yes, I was really lucky. Just about most of the major stories of the late 20th century, I had a hand in somehow.
And so you spent a lot of those years working in the film world. Before those kids out there had digital cameras, you shot film. And I never did that for a living. When I first started taking pictures, I shot film, of course, too. But, I had kept the roll of film in my camera for weeks. And then I, sent it to a photomat and got it when I got it. What was it like, having to get like a camera full of film developed, and where did you do it? And how did you make deadlines, when you couldn't just plug in or pull out an SD card?
Yeah, well, actually, the most difficult part of any job for a wire service photographer for many, many, many years was getting that picture out to the newspapers and magazines that subscribe to the AP service. You'd if it was a story you could plan on, you'd go a day ahead and or hours ahead and try to find a spot where you could soup your film. It might be a restroom in an office building or someone's basement or something like that. And you'd set up a little makeshift dark room and process it on the spot, and then make a print and borrow a telephone line and send the picture. And it used to take about 10 minutes to send one black and white picture. I actually was lucky enough to be in on the ground floor of the transition to digital, and the AP was kind of the pioneer in digital photography. First working with MIT to create an electronic darkroom to handle pictures digitally, and then that led over the years to a camera, a partnership with Kodak to produce the first working news photographer's digital camera. And of course, like you said, that freed you up. You didn't have to have a darkroom anymore, and that was really the driving force behind it. It wasn't so much trying to be a pioneer or trying to create something new. It was to answer an age-old problem.
Sure. So did you come into the digital age reluctantly? Were you suspicious, or was it like, oh, thank God this is here now?
Well, it was, thank God it was here now, but it was very difficult because the technology, there was less memory and less pixel count and less quality in the first news photographers' digital cameras, which was an NC 2000 they called it, and there was it produced a 1.5 megabyte file, which is less than the absolute worst iPhone ever produced.
Sure.
and so, but at the time, that was more information than anybody had ever seen in a digital picture. So it was a thing where you kind of had to put up with the bumps and the bruises, knowing that technology quickly evolves, especially when there is a force behind it to make it evolve. There hadn't been a need for a better chip at that point because there was no way to use it. So when people came up with a way to use it, there was something to use it for, then the chip people answered that call.
Sure.
And that was really the evolution. The first pictures were, you could almost count the pixels in an 8x10 looking at it.
So the book Beaches, Bays, and Backroads that you did, just thumbing through it, of course, you're a very active Facebook poster, so quite a few of these photographs are familiar, but they're absolutely spectacular photos of sunsets, of birds, wildlife, some people in here, beautiful skies. I know that based on what I see in these pictures, there's fertile ground for great nature photography down at the Jersey Shore. Your book is dedicated to the memory of your late wife, Marilyn. Tell us a little bit about where you met Marilyn and your, just a kind of a quick thumbnail sketch of your lives together.
Well, Marilyn and I actually met at a plane crash, which is a real journalism love story.
Yeah, right.
We both were covering a plane crash at Greater Cincinnati Airport, and I sat next to her on a shuttle bus that was going to take us out to the scene. And we had to wait a long period of time to go out, and so we sat and talked, and I later asked her out, and we were married in 1983. And just had a great life together. Marilyn was a journalist, and that helped because she understood me being gone and my crazy hours, and she had crazy hours, and so on. And in 2007, Marilyn suffered a flare of multiple sclerosis that led to her disability. And then we spent the next 13 years fighting that battle together, and it just really gave us a chance to learn a lot about each other and how hard she would fight and just wouldn't give up. And it was very inspiring. You couldn't think you were having a bad day when you thought of what she went through every day. In 2020. In the course of a 2-month period, we found out she had unrelated to the MS, that she had a tumor in her lung. It proved to be cancerous, and she died from 2 months almost to the day from the discovery of the tumor to her death. And we used to go out and drive in the back roads of along the shore. There are vast areas, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of grasslands and all along the shore, and we would go out there just to spend a nice afternoon out in the sun, especially in the off season. When it was warm enough, we'd go up to the beach, but in the off season, we'd just go out and drive on these back roads. to see what we could get and get us out of the house and get some sunshine. And a lot of the pictures come from those trips. And we had a lot of great conversations on those trips. And that's some of my fondest memories are going out and just talking about life and seeing birds and we would go out every day for sunset, no matter what, and that was kind of our life for many years.
I see, and the books. Part of the book's beauty is, the pages that have to do with your lives together and the people who helped you through all those years. I met Marilyn several times. That smile of hers lit up a room when she came in, and it was very sad when she passed away. But I see also that that the Robert Wood Johnson Center for MS was a huge help to both of you. And in fact, while the book is not for sale per se, people who get the book are encouraged or strongly urged to make a donation to that center. And I'm guessing that that's got to be one of the reasons that it's really taken off. When you take, beautiful pictures and a good cause like that, for such an inspiring dedication, who wouldn't want to give to that kind of a cause?
I've been overwhelmed by the response, Tom. I had originally come up with a list of 40 or 50 names of friends, people who had a connection with Marilyn and with me, and thought I'll put together this book of photographs that will bring back memories of Marilyn for them. And so on. And we've now passed 300 books.
Yikes.
So it just, someone told somebody or shared it and showed a friend or something, and the friend got a hold of me. A lot of people on Facebook saw announcement that the book was coming out and so on. And it was really completely word of mouth. It's just amazing. And just about 6 or 8 weeks now since I hit the button to send it to the printer for the first time. I passed 300 books distributed this week. So if anyone is interested and they'd like some more information on the book, they can email me at hortonmail, that's HortonMail @gmail.com, and I'll respond to them and answer any questions they have and tell them how they could donate to the Robert Wood Johnson Center for MS, who are the people who were really our guides through the 13 years of Marilyn's disability.
Yeah, that's great. I really encourage folks to look into that and to seriously consider sending Brian an email at hortonmail@gmail.com and at least start the dialogue about getting a hold of a copy of this book and making a donation, large or small, to the Robert Wood Johnson Center for MS. They did incredible work down there. And Brian, your photography speaks for itself. I don't want to sit here and try to describe, in audio only what these pictures are like, but there is the one that I told you about. There's a picture about 4 pages in, folks, of these 2 seagulls having an argument apparently over a crashing wave at the shoreline of Long Beach Island. And you can almost feel the spray of the water. You can almost hear the seagulls. This picture is so spectacular, but there's a lot of spectacular photographs in this book. Brian, I really appreciate you joining me here. I wish you really great continued success with the book, and keep taking pictures and keep posting them. Some days it's about the most positive thing in my Facebook life.
Well, thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for inviting me to join you on your podcast today.
You bet. And thank you to everybody for listening, and join us next time.
Great stories, great reads, great audiobooks. Visit TomKranzBooks.com for unique and compelling stories in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. That's Tom Kranz Books, TomKranz Books.com. You deserve a great escape.